You are listening to Peak One Sports.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Leadoff on the Peak One Sports Network. I'm Ashton, that's Tony, and we are here to get you ready for your sports weekend. And it's a big one. Not only are the Pistons on a 2-game win streak, but we are just one day away from Super Bowl LVIII. Tony, how excited are you for this game?
This is one of the better Super Bowls I think we've had in recent history. This is a rematch of the 2020 Super Bowl that the Chiefs inevitably won over the Niners. Man, I think there's a lot of firepower in this one, and obviously, the Niners look better on paper, but you can't count out Kelsey and Mahomes.
Yeah, I know this is probably going into championship weekend, the least wanted Super Bowl matchup out of, if you just take a random poll in the country, they probably would want Detroit and Baltimore. The 49ers are kind of up there with on the same level as the Patriots, the Steelers, the Cowboys, the Packers, and just hated it. You either a fan of them or you don't like them. And the Chiefs are getting there. I mean, a few years ago in their first Super Bowl, or at least recent Super Bowl, Mahomes' first Super Bowl, they were kind of looked at as the underdog team playing against the same 49ers team, where most people were excited for them to win that game. Sorry, I have mic issues here. And even when they played the Buccaneers, you're going against Tom Brady, they were still... I don't know that they were the underdogs. Obviously, they weren't. They're probably favored, but they were the team that you wanted to see win. But now that they've won another Super Bowl, it's kind of like you either die a hero or live long enough to become the villain. And I think they're kind of like in that villain stage where the Patriots have been, the last 2 decades.
Yeah, I don't personally, I don't hate these teams. I didn't hate the Patriots. I want to see good football. I want to see good Super Bowls where, yes, you want that underdog story of, the Lions would be cool to come in with all the adversity they've gone through. And just 2 seasons ago, they were like a 3-win team or something.
Yeah.
They're a bad franchise and now they're coming up. But they just didn't wow me. For a Super Bowl, that just wasn't what the exciting wow factor that I had. And even Baltimore, I talked about it on several occasions, I think with Cole and with you, but on other shows, that something about the Ravens just didn't seem like they were the number one team, that they were the best team. And that showed when they faced the Patrick Mahomes Chiefs that, man, they shit the bed on that one. And that really was when I see that performance, I'm like, man, I'm almost glad we didn't get them in the Super Bowl because, would they have shit the bed then,
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're definitely getting the best the best quarterback Super Bowl matchup.
Yeah.
Purdy and Mahomes, I mean, Purdy's kind of out of that stage because he seems close to being an elite quarterback. I know we've talked about, is he a bus driver? Is he a game changer? What kind of quarterback is he?
Yeah.
But his first 2 years, made it to the NFC Championship game, made it to the Super Bowl. Pretty Mahomes-esque in the beginning of his career, where obviously Purdy seems better than, a better superstar than Goff would be. Now you can make a case for Lamar Jackson, but I mean, I don't think anybody's questioning that Patrick Mahomes isn't a better quarterback than Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson had a better year, probably is a better overall team around him, but Mahomes is just a winner.
Yeah.
And he's proved it in the past. Before we
And
get
he
too
has
deep
since
in
he became a
this,
starter.
oh, go ahead. Yeah, finish.
You know, Mahomes has been that ever since he became a starter.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll finish that point in a second. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. If you like our content, go ahead and hit that like button. If we're just not what you're looking for, go ahead and hit the like button twice. And this episode is brought to you by Betalytics. Don't bet with your gut. Check out Betalytics and get help making your picks using their AI algorithms. Use promo code PEAK1 for 25% off when you sign up today. Go to Betalytics.com to start betting smarter. And this is Brock Purdy's first Super Bowl, and it would have been the same if Lamar Jackson, the Ravens, would have made it. Lamar Jackson, and maybe it would have been a good mix-up because they are completely different quarterbacks in terms of what type of quarterback they are. Lamar Jackson and Brock Purdy. But man, if you're just outside looking in, you don't have a dog in the fight, and you're just looking for a good Super Bowl matchup, and one you can look back on years from now, I mean, I can't imagine that you wouldn't want Patrick Mahomes in this situation.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's, like I said, he's just a winner, and he's hard to beat, and you can never count him out, you know, and no matter what defenses do, you know, he doesn't have a huge receiving core. You just can't find a way to stop Kelsey,
Travis
Travis
Kelce.
Kelsey. And he, you know, he's such an athletic tight end that he's just really hard to cover. You know, you can't really put a linebacker on him, and DBs are almost too small to contend against him on a jump ball. And he just gets open. You know, he kind of knows what Patrick Mahomes is going to do, you know, in his scrambling. And, you know, when he does that, like they click, you know, he knows where to be. It's kind of like Jason Witten to Tony Romo, you know,
Yeah.
he was just always in the right place at the right time when he needed him. But then again, you look at the other side with Brock Purdy, man, he hasn't shown me anything that I can't believe in either.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to find a way, and he has so many weapons. I mean, arguably more weapons than any other team in the NFL. And they've been a powerhouse for most of the season. I mean, they had a couple losses to some quality teams. I mean, one, you know, lost to the Browns, which proved to be a playoff team.
Yeah.
I really think, though, like I said earlier when we started the show, I think this is going to be one of the best matchups we've ever seen.
And their paths really to the Super Bowl, not just really in the playoffs, but overall the last part of the season, the Chiefs seemed like they were destined for a wild card spot, and then they come, out of nowhere, jump into the third seed, win their division, and then when the Chiefs are in the playoffs, recently it's been hard to bet against them. And the 49ers, I mean, they really were just the superior team in the NFC all season. Like, yeah, Cowboys, Lions, 49ers all finished with the same record. The Eagles were just right behind them. But you take those teams, they blew out the Cowboys. They blew out the Eagles, and in all essence, pretty much started the downfall for Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And their big collapse, just losing at home to the 49ers. And then you were even able to see them come out of nowhere, or maybe not come out of nowhere, but come from behind to beat Detroit in the NFC Championship game. It's hard to pick against this team as well, because they obviously have all the weapons, and especially with McCaffrey, and you've seen them win big. They can hold a lead. You've seen them come from behind these last two games against Green Bay and Detroit. So I agree that it'd be very disappointing if one of these teams won, handily against the other. I mean, I obviously have my pick who I want to win, and we'll get into that, talk about that a little bit later. But I want this to be a close game with really, like I said, no dog in the fight. My team's not in it. I just want a good Super Bowl matchup, one that, 30 years they're going to come talk about as one of the greater games in Super Bowl history.
Yeah.
And this definitely with the players, with what looks like Hall of Famers. It's way too early to talk about Brock Purdy, but he's also obviously on that trajectory. Mahomes looks like, he's already won multiple Super Bowls. He's putting up stats. He's still very young. We have Kelsey, Mahomes. It looks like McCaffrey is having that resurgence in the second part of his career, with a lot of stars, future Hall of Famers. Great coaching matchup. New versus old, and this definitely has the potential to be one of those games, especially it being a rematch of just a few years ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't miss our Peak One Sports big game pregame show. It'll be tomorrow, live at 3:30 Central Time, a couple hours before the Super Bowl. We'll have a great mix of all the contributors here on the Peak One Sports Network previewing this Chiefs Niners Super Bowl. And like I mentioned, we would talk about our picks later. We're not going to make our picks today because we're going to wait for tomorrow. Try not to be too redundant here. So if you want to hear who we think is going to win the Super Bowl, be sure to tune in to the Peak One Sports big game pregame show tomorrow. Again, that's live 3:30 Central Time here on YouTube, on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, and we'll have the whole slate, the whole cast will be on from Peak One, so that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're going to have everything. We're obviously going to preview the game, look at the teams, have keys to the game, but we're going to talk the betting side of it. We're going to talk halftime show, commercials, all kinds of stuff. So we should have every avenue. And yeah, we're going to talk Taylor Swift. Probably talk Taylor Swift in this episode. In fact, maybe right now. So the whole Taylor Swift thing, I'm not for or against. It doesn't bother me, whatever. But I can't imagine, nothing against Travis Kelce or even Taylor Swift, but the way this has happened, it was probably for everyone, every football fan who's not a Kansas City Chiefs fan, it's probably the worst person she could have ended up with from a fan viewing standpoint. Because obviously we talked about it, the Chiefs are getting into that area where people just don't like them because they keep winning. They're always there. They want to see something different. And I personally like Travis Kelce. He doesn't bother me, but I can see where he can get annoying, kind of in that Rob Gronkowski or the Gronk standpoint, where now that he's an analyst, you're like, man, he's not that bad, but when he plays and wins and he's kind of
flamboyant,
flamboyant, yeah. It gets you. And then now every time Travis Kelce scores a touchdown, I wouldn't say every time he catches a pass, because I looked at some statistics on that, and really she averages, every game she's at, there's an average of her on the screen for 30 seconds during the game, which seems pretty low to how some people are comparing it. I don't know, 30 seconds all at once is a pretty long time, but for the course of the game. But every time he scores a touchdown, she's up there.
They do cut through. But you know what? In retrospect,
and it doesn't bother me.
Anyone else with a famous spouse, they do the same thing every time they score.
Yeah.
Or they'll cut to their family. You know, I mean, how many times do they cut to Brock Purdy? You could argue this. How many times do they cut to Brock Purdy's family when he's playing?
Yeah.
I see them, and his mom and dad, every time he plays.
Man, I can't remember. I can't remember his name. The Bengals backup quarterback. I can't remember his name, but every time he'd score big plays, they would show his wife. And I don't even watch. I've never watched one of the games. I see it on ESPN or something else. Because yes, she is pretty attractive, and she had won the what was it? It was some podcast. She'd won like greatest ass of the week or something like that because she was wearing like a onesie or something. it's like ESPN is cutting to her. Like, yeah, they don't have stories about her, but I can argue I've seen more cutbacks to her in ESPN highlights than I have Taylor Swift. But
Yeah.
like I said, I think I mentioned on the sports page, anytime, George W. Bush is at a Cowboys game, or even Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, anything like that, if there's anybody notable at any game, at some point they're going to cut to them, talk about them, whatever. If Taylor Swift said everything, and none of those people have a tie into the game. Taylor Swift has a tie into the game being with Travis Kelce. And my gosh, just wait. Like, forget Taylor Swift. They're going to be cutting to every celebrity they can imagine. Remember when it was in LA a few years ago?
Mm-hmm.
They were showing every celebrity because it was in LA. Now it's in Vegas.
Yeah.
Just imagine how many cutbacks they're going to have for everyone just seeing. I mean, because that's the thing at the Super Bowl, because whether it's a form of status or whatever, you're going to have a lot of players at the Super Bowl. You're going to have a lot of athletes. I mean,
and I think
a lot of athletes, a lot of celebrities.
That's part of the Super Bowl, anyways.
Yeah.
Is it does become less about the game and more about the festivities and who's there. And throughout the entire game, they're going to be cutting to different celebrities and famous people. Like they're going to do that throughout the entire game. I mean, that's what the Super Bowl has become. It's a spectacle. It's a what's the word I'm looking for? But it's just become that so much more than the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost part as there will be people watching, as they say, I'm watching for the commercials. I don't want to miss the commercials. And then there's people, there are going to be people like, I want to see Taylor Swift. Let's watch to see how many times they showed Taylor Swift. I bet you, and we'll talk to Cole about this tomorrow on the Peak One Sports Big Game pregame show. Is there any betting odds on how many times they show Taylor Swift, how many minutes or seconds or whatever Taylor Swift is going to be on camera? I'm sure there's going to be a lot of different prop bets. Yeah. It's a Super Bowl. There's prop bets on heads, tails, color of Gatorade, how many jets are flying over, how long the national anthem is going to last. Yeah, it would just seem dumb not to.
Which Cole's going to bring us all those tomorrow, so that'll be a lot of fun too.
Yeah, no, yeah, Cole's going to have us covered. That's why we're not getting I didn't do too much research to talk about it again. Having a morning show on Saturday morning, the weekend of the Super Bowl, and then have a Super Bowl pregame show, just trying to avoid as much redundancy as possible. But tomorrow we're mainly hosting, not getting too deep into that. We're leaving that all to all the guest hosts. So we're giving you our thoughts on it right now, and semi breaking it down. Not as good as all of our colleagues can, but we're going to do our best. And speaking of Taylor Swift, and we talked about another show. I don't know if you and I have talked about all the Super Bowl controversy surrounding the number 13 and Taylor Swift and why the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl.
No, we haven't.
We haven't. I know you've probably heard it multiple times, but the reason many people think the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl is related to Taylor Swift and apparently her favorite number is 13. She was born on whatever month, the 13th day of that month, and I don't know what all entails, but 13 is a big number for Taylor Swift, and undoubtedly everybody here has already heard it. Super Bowl 58, 5 plus 8 is 13. It's on February 11th. 2 plus 11 is 13. It'll be her 13th Chiefs game to attend if she goes to the Super Bowl, and if she makes it to the Super Bowl, she's flying from Tokyo to Vegas, which is a 13-hour flight. They're also playing the 49ers. 4 plus 9 is 13. Now, I like little gimmicky stuff like that. I'm also one to say, like, if you really want to talk about it, you can find whatever you want if you're really looking for it. That is a lot of coincidence, but then I was trying to go through the letters of the teams, and none of those are 13, and it's like there's more not 13 than there is, but it's still a pretty fun thing. And I'm sure maybe a couple more people with no time on their hands or too much time on their hands is going to come up with some more stuff. Yeah. Now, do you think watching the Super Bowl broadcast that any analyst, announcer, broadcaster will bring any of this information up.
Man, for the professionalism of these guys, and I don't think so.
Because
We
we're
got
podcasters. We're not on the broadcast of the Super Bowl.
No. I mean, what
I wouldn't be surprised.
Tony Romo's on the call on this one? Is
he?
Yeah, this is a CBS telecast.
Oh, okay. Which helps because Tony Romo's on every. Man, I think Chiefs fans are annoyed at Tony Romo at this point. Are tired of him. He's like every Chiefs game. So I can imagine. I don't think Tony Romo will talk about this, like everything I just said, but I bet you he would make a 13 reference here or there.
The thing where I could see this is like on the pregame shows, like Fox does, probably Fox, because they're a little more light and fun.
Yeah.
I could see one of their analysts or field reporters or something in the pregame, making light of this, mentioning this, maybe having a short of something like this,
Yeah. It being the Super Bowl, anything's possible because they'll show, what was it? So many years that they picked the Super Bowl. It was like a pig or a dog or something. I can't remember, but they would pick the Super Bowl correctly, like for the last how many ever years at that time.
Yeah.
So they'll show little funny things. Like I don't know that they'll talk about this like this obviously not going to be a serious talking point, but it'd be like just something funny to talk about. Do you think any of the announcers outside of them showing Taylor Swift on camera, do you think they'll mention Taylor Swift at all? Make references of Taylor Swift. Again, maybe if Kelsey picks up a huge gain. I mean, obviously they're going to show Taylor Swift in the stands, but
yeah, and maybe pregame they may, when you have the two analysts, I think that's the time when those type of things come up. I don't know during the call of the game that they do, but I could be wrong. I mean, it is Tony Romo. He likes to have some fun and try to throw some things out there that, yeah, he could.
So I wonder, I haven't done any research on this because I try to.
Does it change the look, like your look on someone if they, like their professionalism, if they do make a lot of references to Taylor Swift in a game like this?
No, as long as they're bringing good content. Like if they cut to somebody, like NFL Sunday, whatever channel, their pregame, they'll cut to whoever. Hey, they talk for a minute or whatever about this or that. If they cut to somebody and that's all they talk about, then maybe I'm like, I mean, it's a football game. But then again, the Super Bowl, we kind of beat like a dead horse. It's 2 weeks, just constantly talking, nothing really happening.
Yeah.
I mean, this may be like our third show that we've talked about the Super Bowl. Obviously I wasn't on the last one. Y'all talked a little bit about the Super Bowl, previewing the conference championship games. We'll have another show. It's a lot to go over and digest. And I think a lot of people there's a lot of storylines that go after. So I can see that. I mean, I bet you a lot today, some sports shows talk about it talk about Taylor Swift in general, because it's like, it's just the same thing over and over again. Is there going to be a Taylor Swift watch? What's her concert in today or tonight in Tokyo? Well, I guess it would be whatever the time difference is. It's Saturday night in Tokyo. And then she's flying supposedly.
Yeah, I think.
So is there going to be a Taylor Swift watch, whatever? It might be nighttime in Tokyo right now.
I think what I saw is if she finished the show and flew back, she would be here tonight, our time, like in Vegas.
Okay.
On Saturday night, she would arrive. So,
which is about time, because it's like, I have no idea what time it is in Tokyo right now, but it seems like she's probably maybe getting ready to perform now, maybe performing now.
I would say she's probably performing now.
Yeah. So there's probably going to be some Taylor Swift watch. Where's her playing at? All that. I mean, there will be some, maybe not on a sports show, sports website, but mainly more like entertainment purposes. Because you even mentioned like your daughter wanted a Travis Kelce jersey. She couldn't tell you what team he played for.
Yeah.
But it's because, that's Taylor Swift's boyfriend. So I don't know if it messes with the ratings, puts a big chunk in ratings.
She is performing right now.
Okay.
It's 10:30 p.m. in Tokyo. So we're on Taylor watch already. now.
See, I'm making fun of it, but we're here
So I
giving
would say within
information.
the next half hour, her show will probably be over. I would guess about 11. And
Now, because Travis didn't go to the Grammys, is that the one that just happened? The Grammys?
yeah,
Because Travis Kelce didn't go to the Grammys to support her. Does she not go to the Super Bowl to support him? I'm just
no, I
kidding. I'm
don't.
just making.
I
Yeah,
don't
I
think that's
told people, I'm like, it's different. Your team's in the Super Bowl. I know it was probably in LA, I guess. Which how I mean, Vegas and LA are very close. A quick flight over there, a quick flight back, but it's the Super Bowl. It's your team. If Travis Kelce goes to the Grammys and the Chiefs lose the Super Bowl, that's going to be a talking point. It's
Yeah.
going to be a story
Well,
regardless. It shouldn't be, but it would be.
It'll come down to Taylor was a distraction.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably already going to be the thing. If Travis Kelce does not have a good game, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that should be a deal,
Yeah,
but it will be a storyline. Was Taylor distracting?
I don't think it's a factor.
No.
I've never seen this guy underperform in a game he was available for.
You do see it's one of his worst statistic years in recent history.
Yeah, but he's also willed his team. I mean,
Yeah.
between him and Mahomes, I mean, he's been the offensive target.
We're on the same page. I'm just being devil's advocate. When you have multiple consecutive 1,000-yard receiving seasons as a tight end, eventually he's getting up there in age. I mean, eventually the streak's going to break, and it just happens to be when he dates Taylor Swift. I don't see any essence in it because he's still had really good games. I mean, again, the AFC Championship game was outstanding. A great game. I mean, when he breaks Jerry Rice's records.
Yeah,
those are records that you just on the most point don't touch. But yeah, okay. So Taylor Swift is performing now, or about to finish performing. So, I can't imagine even if she wasn't going to go, her agent not telling her, like, this is big money. Good for your career to be there at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Being, just in general, whether you're dating a player or not, I think it's good for image and, all that good stuff, especially being in Vegas.
Yeah, for sure.
And
there's plenty of time. I mean, it's all been looked at. There's plenty of time. She can arrive back in the States in Vegas tonight.
There's tons of time. There's no reason why you can't. And I know there's speculation that Travis Kelce might propose to Taylor Swift after this game on live TV. They're in Vegas. Why wouldn't they just go ahead and get married?
I was waiting for it. I kind of expected it during the AFC Championship. They kept the whole AFC Championship was film of them. The cameras are all on them. I was just waiting for that.
Yeah, I was in Cancun, and for some reason I couldn't find the English spoken version of that, which is fine. I was entertaining. Why? I had no idea what they were saying. But I did catch that Taylor Swift said, "I love you," hugged, and walked away. And I know they've been dating longer than, the season, that it hadn't been public. But they might be at that point. And would everyone just vomit if the Chiefs win the Super Bowl? And I have no problem with the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl. But they win the Super Bowl and all the confetti, he proposes, just like a high school kid after winning the state championship.
Maybe in my old age, good for them, and why not use that stage and that platform? They're some of the most popular people now.
And I don't know about Taylor Swift, but Travis Kelce obviously loves the spotlight. When the draft was in Kansas City, right after they won the Super Bowl, he had no problem getting up there and being crazy, and obviously in tons of commercials, and he hosted Saturday Night Live, and I not that it would be commercializing a proposal or whatever, but I think he would be all for it. And my gosh, that I talked to my wife about that. I'm like, if they get married, that's bringing a bunch of football fans with Taylor Swift fans. That's like going to be bigger than the royal wedding. It's going to be ridiculous.
Yeah.
And no, we are not going to cover it here on the Peak One Sports Network. If he proposes during the Super Bowl, sure, we'll mention it because it happened during the Super Bowl, but we are not that. We are not TMZ.
We're not on the watch for it.
We
see
keep
if
saying
anyone's
we're not, but
slipped
we
the
keep
ring to him.
talking about it. I don't know. It's what people want to hear, apparently.
Do we have anybody on staff that's on Taylor watch to see when she boards a plane and when she lands in Vegas?
I'll get with Adam Russell. He's deep in the entertainment community. He's a former actor, and he writes here for Peak One Sports. He's going to be giving us a lot of content on the show tomorrow about halftime and the commercials, and I'll get with him and ask him. Maybe he's on Taylor watch. What does this world come to? I mean, whatever
Super
has
Bowl
ratings.
weekend, we're worried about where Taylor Swift's at.
Worried's a strong word. Like, can you? No, I can't say that. There was an intrusive thought that just came into my head. I cannot say that. That would be terrible, especially if it happened. Never mind.
That's for a different show.
That's for a different show. No, if it does happen, I'm gonna earmark this thing. Like, this is what I was gonna say, which I guess anybody can say that. But yeah, we are not
And
TMZ.
the FAA will be you'll be under investigation.
Oh, so you're picking up what I'm putting down. No, I'm just saying in terms of big stories. Not that I'm obviously not rooting for anything, but that would be a crazy story just where everything's at. But now she'll be there. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
If you care. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people would love not to care. Maybe they put up, when they didn't have fans at stadiums during COVID and they had those cardboard cut-ups.
Yeah.
They put a Taylor Swift cardboard cut-up in their suite next to Jason Kelsey and their mom and Brittany Mahomes or whoever she hangs out with.
Speaking of Brittany Mahomes, did you see she was in the Sports Illustrated swimsuit
I did.
issue?
I saw, like, I kept seeing that picture pop up, people's profile. Like I didn't even think anything of it the first couple of times. Like, people just post stuff and like, what is that? Like, everybody's posting this, and that's what I saw. I thought Sports Illustrated was done. I thought they'd fired everyone.
Yeah, I didn't. It hasn't been relevant.
I mean, nothing against Brittany Mahomes, and maybe that's why she's the cover of it. Or maybe they just like, we have to go all in on the Super Bowl deal. So let's just everyone take vacation for a few weeks, and that's what it was. They weren't really fired.
I guess maybe the swimsuit edition becomes more popular.
Yeah.
Than the magazine itself.
Yeah, you could definitely drudge that down. Drudge isn't the right word, but you could shrink that down to, hey, we just do specialty stuff. And do they even do a physical copy of the magazine anymore?
And I actually don't know.
I mean, not that costs them a bunch of money.
Yes.
I don't know how much it costs, if it'd really save them much not to print it up.
At least for special, man. I know when the Rangers won the World Series, you could buy a copy.
And maybe that's what they go toward. Like, they just go towards all online, all digital.
I think that's very popular.
Maybe not go every single week. You have a skeleton staff, and then you're able to, maybe they put together, well, I guess they're putting it together anyways to put it online, and then you can, at any point, if somebody wants to pay, we'll print it up and ship it out to you for specialty reason championships. Whoever wins the Super Bowl, will that be the Super Bowl edition? Brittany Mahomes and Taylor Swift on the cover?
Probably. Or probably a picture of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelsey.
And yeah, especially if he proposes. My gosh, that would be the front. Okay, so obviously every newspaper has their Monday morning front page story of whoever wins the Super Bowl. What are the odds, assuming the Chiefs win, if he proposed that's on the cover of most? That's
absolutely.
It. Chiefs win, Kelsey scores, or something like that.
Yeah.
That would be.
It would absolutely be that way.
Oh, gosh. Man, I'm starting to become a Chiefs hater now.
I think that's what upsets sports fans so much, is that something like that would overshadow the Super Bowl.
And I know we make fun of, sometimes we have a different network on. I know I've already mentioned them in this episode, but for this purpose, and the cheesy things they say, and it's like, there's no way they just thought of that now. It's like, they queued that up. Like some writer queued, which like, Saturday Night Live, the Tonight Shows,
Yeah.
they have writers, like those aren't their jokes, but it's like some of these are like, okay, that was too much. Not even dad joke cringy. It's like that cheesy turn of phrase, whatever. There was one I heard this morning that I thought, are they going to get canceled for this? Not that I think they should, but it was gymnastics. And, God, I'm trying to think. The gymnast's last name was Wong. She was Asian.
What?
Was Wong, Wong. She was Asian, obviously. And they said, if that's Wong, I don't want to be right. Which I get it. Okay, that's a dumb thing to say anyways. Forget cancel culture, all of that. This is a woke network. If you want to
think that's funny, you're the epitome of dad.
Yeah, and we're not laughing because of the phrase. We're laughing because they said that.
Yeah, that
this
they would
morning.
even say it. Yeah.
It was live this morning, and not that I had necessarily like, oh, we got to cancel. Like, it's what I wouldn't say it because I don't think it was all that clever.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking, I'm like, I've heard a lot less said that's made somebody canceled. I don't know.
I mean, it sounds like something like the commentators from Dodgeball would say.
Seriously,
right?
Yeah. Cotton and what's his name? Yeah, that's ESPN the Ocho.
Yeah. Were you watching ESPN the Ocho? Maybe that's what it was.
Gosh, maybe. I mean, gymnastics were on there. What is that?
Yeah, it's not going to be on the premier ESPN.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That I just thought that, like, I wasn't even paying much attention. I kind of just turned it on.
You just heard it.
Doing show prep. Let's see what big stories if something comes up, and yeah, that came up, and I thought, like, when that, I'm not going to get too political here, but I'm not one to just like cancel. I'm not all cancel culture. I'm not all woke or anything, whatever terms you want to use, but that perked my ears up, and I was like, should he have said that?
Yeah.
Working for a big conglomerate that everyone accuses of being woke anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Look out for that. Maybe there's an apology coming up. I'm not sure, but guys, thank you for tuning into this episode of the Leadoff, heard here every Saturday on the Peak One Sports Network. Again, if you want to hear our Super Bowl picks, don't forget to tune in tomorrow for our live Peak One Sports Big Game pregame show, 3:30 Central Time. It'll be about an hour, so you have plenty of time to watch that. You don't have to choose what pregame festivities you want to watch, because we'll be on a little earlier. Then you can go back and watch all the normal stuff. We want to make sure if you have any money involved in pregame betting deals, that you're able to go see that. So yeah, it'll be pretty early, 3:30 Central Time. Everybody from the network will be on at some point in some capacity, giving y'all great content. Don't forget to watch, and don't forget to subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, and don't forget to follow if you're listening to this on one of our many podcast platforms. Guys, until next time, we'll see you with Tony. I'm Ashton. See you later.